left to right, 10th minute, no score at Yankee Stadium. Good two-touch ball from Magno to Cavallo, and he whips in a great service, and here's a first-time shot at goal from Nico Fernandez-Mercal. It was from outside the area, some 25 yards out, struck it with the left. Brady had no chance, upper left corner, and New York City takes the early lead on the Chicago Fire on the 12th goal of the season from Fernandez-Mercal.
Nico Fernandez-Mercal is on fire, and the ball has got flames coming out the back of it. Chris Brady has not moved a muscle. I mean, he has not moved the muscle. The ball is past him and into the back of the goal before he can move. It's a terrible clearance from Jack Elliott, and you do not want to lay the ball down right into the path of Fernandez-Mercal. We talk about pass appreciation, Glenn, and it was absolutely perfect from Elliott into the path of Fernandez-Mercal, and boy did he dispatch it.
Wow. On fire, and the ball has flames coming out of it. That's Matty Lawrence. I'm Glenn Crooks. That was from our radio commentary.
It's called poetic nonsense, Glenn. Poetic nonsense. But I stand by every word I said. I think I could see the flames coming out the back of the ball as he hits it then.
Well, that's the opening goal. New York City wins 3-1 at home, their home opener after the World Cup break, and defeat the Chicago Fire. And the second half, Robert Lewandowski. So we didn't get a chance to see him at the start of the game. But I don't know if in person I've seen a shot like that myself personally. All the games I've watched over the years that there was velocity. I mean, the perfectness of the strike, and then the way it was set up by Elliott was remarkable. How beautiful that they all just rolled back to him.
I played 4 years of Division 1 athletics over here. I played 17 years of professional football, and there's only one other person that's in person. You know, I've seen some every now and again. Certain players have struck it. I've seen on TV, but in person, there's only one other person who can strike a ball like that, and that's Stephen Reed, Republic of Ireland international. Played for West Brom. I played with him at Millwall, and he could strike a ball like that. But he is the only one. And I played football, as I say, for 17 seasons. So stood on a pitch with thousands, probably tens of thousands of footballers. And he is the only one who can strike a ball as sweetly as that, or I've seen strike one as sweetly as that. It was phenomenal. And I stand by the pass appreciation from Jack Elliott. It couldn't have been any more perfect. It totally just evaded his man on the top of the penalty area and fell into the path of Nico Fernandez-Mercal, not only to Fernandez-Mercal, but right on his left foot as well, perfectly on his left foot. Why Jack Elliott is not just punching it away, the way you're facing, play the ball the way you're facing. And he tries to bring his right foot around it. But anyway, who cares? Fernandez-Mercal doesn't. His price went up a little bit more.
Elliott's he's had a tough couple of weeks here with Chicago coming in off the break with 2 losses now. They lost at Miami, and he took down Suarez in the penalty area. No doubt about it. Penalty in a 3-2 loss to Miami the game before. He's the captain. We saw him at Philadelphia for many years. And right now, Chicago has some interesting things to deal with Ugo Kuiper's gone, the Golden Boot leader, who is now Peter Musa. He's got 13. Nico Fernandez-Mercal has 12, along with Lionel Messi. So that's where it stands right now. And it's Lewandowski he started on Wednesday and came in in the second half. And as we looked at statistically, it just wasn't very much involved. But you have to also say that I talked to Greg Berhalter a little bit after the game, and he just said, we've been together 5 days with him. He's had 5 training sessions, and it's a little unfair to judge the progress of the new Chicago Fire until he's a little bit more initiated.
I think that's an absolutely valid point, Glenn. It is. It takes players time to acclimatise to leagues. It doesn't matter whether they're one of the world's best or not. But on the flip side of that, you say, you just got Ugo Kuiper's acclimatised to MLS. He's just scored 13 goals in 11 games.
Yeah.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You are you won 3 games out of 3 just before the international break of the World Cup, obviously, just before signing Lewandowski. Now you've signed Lewandowski, And it's going to take you another few months. You're telling us to integrate him into the team, which is fair enough. It will. But what's the point? I don't understand the point. I understand that we saw ticket sales go up. I understand that when I left you, Glenn, you went down to listen to the press conference. I listened to it later on when it's recorded. I saw so many Polish shirts, flags.
Right, remember pregame, right? We were observing that one corner, and he was signing autographs
on their cheeks, signifying the Polish flag.
Yeah,
and I caught the subway home, and it was chocker. I say Polish shirts, Polish flags, Barcelona shirts, Bayern Munich shirts. I didn't see any Lech Poznan shirts or Borussia Dortmund shirts, but they're the only two clubs that weren't represented, and most of them had Lewandowski's name on the back. So I think you had the stat of 35% ticket increase for NYCFC. The majority of that was Lewandowski himself.
Well, they've been averaging 21 and there were 27 and change. And it was a boisterous crowd and true. I mean, when you have the big, and so MLS is going to be happy with that side of it, because wherever he goes, it's not going to be messy, but it's also going to be a few thousand more in the seats.
Yeah, absolutely. And he is that bigger draw. But unfortunately for Chicago Fire, the name of the game you'd have thought wasn't bums on seats for the rest of the country or the rest of MLS.
Right.
It is winning games of football. And you've lost your last two games of football. You lost 3-2, and you've conceded 3 goals in both games. You lost 3-2 against Miami, and now you just lost 3-1 against NYCFC.
How about the 3-1? That's been the scoreline in each of the last 3
That's
games.
Phenomenal.
New York City, Chicago. New York City's won all of them, both last year 3-1 and now 3-1. So we saw the Fernandez Marcao goal, and which was just absolutely sensational. And now Agustin Ojeda. Now this dude he's had a good couple of games coming back, but overall, watching his progress, he's now 22 years old. He was 19 when he first arrived at New York City, and was not a confident lad. And as you've pointed out numerous times now in commentary, he sure seems like he is. But let's watch the Ojeda goal.
Right up the gut, sort of penetrating move, but had a little bit too much on it. So New York City has it. They come out of the back with Andres Perea. Nice slip ball to find Ojeda. One-touch shot. Goal for Ojeda! Agustin Ojeda goals in back-to-back games, and New York City back on top. 2-1 Ojeda with his 5th goal of the season. And how about that? It was Andres Perea accelerating in the midfield off the dribble and then slipping a perfect ball between the defenders on the right. And how about Agustin Ojeda? Preparation touch, shot, beats Brady at the back post.
The boy's got confidence, and it's absolutely showing. The first touch is perfect, as you say, out of his feet, and lets him then strike the ball with the second. He had time to think here, and he's not always been that confident in the penalty area. But that was a goal of pure confidence, Ken. The first touch, and then the second, the finish, in off the far post. Terrific finish from Ojeda. Nothing more than he deserves either.
Yeah, so Ojeda, game-winning goal, had the game-winning goal coming out of the World Cup break Wednesday at Columbus, a 2-1 win on the road. So a little mini 2-game win streak for New York City coming in, because they had not really performed well leading into the World Cup break, even though it was a long time ago. It must be very nice to get off to this start. But look, New York City has scored 7 goals, Matty. 5 game-winning goal contributions from Ojeda, the 2 game-winning goals and 3 game-winning assists. And he drew the penalty that Nico Fernandez Marcao converted in the Columbus match as well. He was the man of the match in that one. So really, it's been really nice to watch his progress. And with the emergence of Malachi Jones, now we've got a Hannes Wolf situation. But anyway, more on Ojeda. What do you think?
Look, Ojeda, the progression we've seen, because let's be honest, when he started out here, it was tough to see this type of form happening. We talk long and hard about young players coming to new leagues, or even older players coming to new leagues, and it takes time to assimilate, to acclimatise, whatever we want to call it. And Ojeda is now a man. Let's not forget, he was only 19 years of age. He was only a pup. He'd only played a few games for Racing. He hadn't played much first-team football at all. So he wasn't just getting used to a new league. He was getting used to being a professional footballer, truly being a professional footballer. And he is that now. But so now what do we want? We want that consistency to keep on going, if not rising as well. I think we have to expect that from him. And I think that he has to expect it from himself as well. The confidence is there. The confidence is oozing. The quality in front of goal was absolutely not there at all. He had nothing in front of goal. He'd snatch at chances. He wouldn't take the ball on both feet. He wouldn't go both ways when he first came to the football club. It appeared to me that he had a timid personality. He didn't really have much belief in himself. But you see him now, and he is just loving not only the game of football, but what he's producing. And you can see he's almost playing with that metaphorical smile on his face. If you're happy with everything, it's much easier to play well. And I truly think it is. Just as well as Ojeda there, Glenn, you said it in your commentary of the goal. The pace and the power of Pereira. Did you see Pereira run past Seletros there? Yeah. Seletros had about 4 yards on him, and he overtook him in 3. It was just insane. I know he's got that long stride pattern, Pereira, but it's just that desire, the one. Yes, the initial speed, but he just like swam through the air and just almost held him back. It was fantastic.
A healthy Pereira is critical the rest of the way. He's looking like a top midfielder in the league over the last 2 games. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I think he is. Again, he's somebody who, that's your benchmark now. You're as good as you are that good. Let's see it. You can't now dip. Your form can't dip. Every now and again, you can go down to a 7 out of 10, but you've been an 8, 9 out of 10 every game. You can dip down to a 7, but we don't want to be seeing any 5s and 4s that we have seen in previous years. And obviously we know he's only just really overcoming that injury as well. So the mini pre-season will have done him good too. And boy, does he look fit and healthy now.
Yeah. Also healthy and maybe not 100% fit, but he's almost there. We would suspect Malachi Jones, who started his 3rd consecutive match. He started against Nashville before the World Cup break, and now Columbus, and then the match on Saturday night against Chicago, and getting his first goal, only his 2nd career goal, but his first since May the 11th, 2024. And let's play that one for you, as heard on the New York City FC radio network.
Here comes New York City, another slip ball to Ojeda, touch, square, 3-1 New York City, as Agustin Ojeda. How unselfish was that? It was identical preparation, pretty much at a similar angle, but instead of the shot, he found and saw Malachi Jones wide open in front of goal. And New York City, they do it quickly. Matt Freese races all the way up from his goal to come to Malachi Jones. He puts the ball under his shirt. He's got a baby on the way, and man, he's come way back from a recovery, 2 years, 2 surgeries, and credit to Ojeda.
Well, and Pereira again, the ball in from Pereira absolutely splits the defence. Radijevic gets done once again on the outside. The first touch again is exemplary from Ojeda, and he is so unselfish here because he could easily have had a shot from there. Instead, he rolls it square and Malachi Jones just taps it in at the far stick. Glenn, that is a proper football goal, that one. We've seen a great strike from Fernandez Macau, a power blast. We've seen a great, comfortable finish from Ojeda, and then that's more of a team goal. The pass from Pereira splitting the defence, and then the little cutback, the pullback from Ojeda.
Yeah. Nice stuff. Yeah. And Ojeda recognizing Malachi Jones. I think that's the other area we can see where he's grown up, where I think 100% he would have taken that shot 2 years ago rather than maybe seeing the player in front just to lay it in.
Yeah, and possibly snatched at it and dragged it wide of the far post as well. I think we would have seen that. For Malachi Jones, yes, we say it's his, and you're right, it is his first goal since May 2024, but I think he got injured in June 2024 and then's hardly been seen since because of the dual surgery. So, yes, it's a big gap, but we understand why the big gap between goals. And it's great to see he's got the new haircut. He's got a new baby on the way. And he looks very confident himself as well. And another person who will have benefited from the 8 weeks sort of break over the World Cup period. I know they came back June the 18th, I think, and started training. Yeah. He will have really benefited from a little bit of a break, maybe take a holiday, then come back.
We don't learn much about these closed-door friendlies, but Brad Sims, the president, said he was exceptional in a Wednesday friendly against the New York Red Bulls. You asked about his hair. Well, he addressed that in the midweek presser.
I mean, it was something I've been thinking about for a little while, and with the summer heat coming in, and I've just had the other hairstyle for a minute now, so I just needed a change, and I got a baby on the way, so I was trying to go for a little bit of an older look, but I think it took me down a few years.
He's not going to look old until maybe he's 40. He's got that kind of a face.
Yeah, he's doing just fine. He will. He'll be 42 and he'll still look 28. So yeah, he's just fine. But the overall story of Malachi Jones, from him being a child, from his progression as a human being and coming to America, then obviously on to Lipscomb, then to NYCFC, just making his way, wasn't he, Glenn? He was just making his way when he broke his leg. We finally could say, oh, look, he looks like a professional footballer now. And he really did. And the unfortunate, not only the injury, but then the double surgery, the infection, whatever it was, the surgery just didn't take. For him to come back from that and to look as good as he does right now, it's only a testament to the medical staff, but predominantly it's a testament to him as an individual, as a human. I know what it's like to sit in the treatment room. I'm very, very lucky. I never sat in the treatment room for longer than like a month. And it could be so depressing. It could bring you down. You felt you were worthless because you were worthless. You got paid to be a footballer and you couldn't be a footballer. So you felt a little bit worthless. For him to have suffered and survived that for 2 years and to start showing what he's done, true testament to his mentality. And
then his captain, well, as he would see it at the moment, the captain is Thiago Martins, but Matt Freese very much a part of the celebration of his goal, ran all the way from his goal box to hang out with Malachi. Here's Malachi post game. This is courtesy of Matthew Mangum, posted this New York Sports Journal.
Yeah, Matt and I have a special relationship. I think even from the first day I showed up to the facilities, Matt was my guy. And so for me to be able to celebrate that, I knew he's excited for me and my wife. And so it's just Matt doing Matt things. So it's nothing short of him being a leader and a great teammate.
So they had it planned. Matt Freese explained that a little bit also post-game. First, he addressed the boos at Columbus and how nice it was to come back home, but he also talked about the boos and not being particularly disturbed by it, but then also the rundown to celebrate with Malachi. Again, New York Sports Journal.
The World Cup. It feels great to be, to be at home and be see the guys again and be on the field again.
Obviously, you had two different kind of games against Columbus. There was some, howling from the fans during the game. And then today at home, you have the fans cheering you on. What's it been like kind of seeing that contrast, the booing, and then you got the fans cheering for you today?
Yeah, I mean, it happened last year against Charlotte as well. Every time I touched the ball, I got booed. Obviously, incredible honor to have the energy and the support from our fans here. And, means the world. And yeah, I don't mind getting booed. Respectfully, I'm from Philadelphia, and anything they're saying to me on the field, I can guarantee you I've said worse at Eagles games. So I'm fine with it.
You ran the length of the field to celebrate with Malachi. Can you talk a little bit about that, what it means for him to score today?
Yeah, I mean, 2 years of injuries and perseverance from him, just so incredibly proud of him and happy for him. I told him 2 years ago when he comes back and scores his first goal, I'm going to run down the field and celebrate with you. So I wanted to make sure I did that today. I was a little bit tired afterwards. I'm not used to running that much.
All right. But that's nice it was planned. I guess I hadn't heard that till he spoke to that's the mix zone post game, which we don't often get a chance to participate in. And so again, Matthew Mangum, a Rutgers boy, by the way, he will normally post these post-match things. So thanks for that. I've got one more to play too with James Sands. But first, it's you, and you've said this a couple of times, Matty, and it's when we're there in person and we can see how the team reacts to each other and see things off the ball, and it does give you the sense of a pretty close unit here with the New York City Football Club.
Yeah, it really does. I know that any of the best teams I played in had a very tight-knit dressing room. It doesn't mean you get on with absolutely every single player, but the majority of people you get on with. There's no true cliques in the dressing room. We know that at NYCFC, we know that there's a Brazilian core and there's an Argentine core and then there's an English-speaking core. And those guys, obviously, they do sort of go with each other.
They gravitate. I mean,
they gravitate towards each other naturally.
As long as it's not a clique, because
absolutely, there are not cliques.
No.
You know, there's a reason there's Chinatown, there's Little Italy. You know, we all migrate to what we know. There's a reason I go to GMT Tavern, the English pub in New York City. You know, we gravitate to what we know. And that's acceptable, as you say, as long as there's not cliques. And there's no way there's cliques, is there, in that NYCFC dressing room. And Matt Freese also he talks about that relationship with Malachi Jones, and Malachi did as well. Matt Freese has been through it. He's been to university, he's got his degree, and then he's come away tried to learn to be a professional footballer. So he understands that pathway that Malachi Jones has taken. And I think Matt Freese is there to help anybody that needs their help. I think Matt's there. I think that's the type of character he is. We know from speaking to our Chicago colleagues over in Chicago, obviously, before the Fire game. And they spoke very highly of Matt Freese through Chris Brady, because Chris Brady had said, I don't really know Matt Freese very well. I was a bit skeptical. You know, I want his place. He wants my place in the US men's national team. And he said, Chris Brady said to one of our colleagues, Matt Freese couldn't have been more helpful and ingratiate himself in that tight-knit group. And I think Matt Freese, you said it, Matt Freese is not a captain, but Matt Freese is a captain in personality.
I slipped there a little bit, but you always have more than one captain. You have one designated captain, but he's certainly a vice captain. And how about his description of the booing? I think he'll it's bring it on, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't feel good. Let's be honest. It doesn't feel good if you're going to be booed at every single away ground. But I've played many years, and boos spur you on. If Matt can get in that mindset that boos spur you on, it spurs me on as a human, and it certainly did me, and not just a human, as a sportsman. Sometimes like, right, if you're going to boo me, I'm going to shove this right back down your throat.
Yeah. I figured you'd be.
And I like the Philadelphia Eagles comment as well. Matt knows what it's like because he's shouted just as many things.
Yeah, that's right. So he's had that sort of experience, and now the next road game will be at FC Cincinnati. Roman Celentano, he along the way was in the national team pool as one of the possible choices to play in the World Cup this summer. He was not selected, and so I would imagine there's a chance he'll hear it in Cincinnati. But that's a long way down the road. We got some Leagues Cup games coming up, before that, and we got Toronto this weekend before that. All right, so we've seen the goals. One thing about you said Lipscomb. How about this for Lipscomb on Saturday night? So Malachi Jones was the number 8 overall pick. First of all, there's 2 players that were drafted in the first round. It was the first players ever drafted at MLS out of Lipscomb University. One was Malachi, the number 8 pick overall for New York City. The other was the number 1 overall pick, Tyrese Spicer. Now, he went to Toronto first, but he's now with Orlando. In the 72nd minute, he scores for Orlando. They beat Nashville, the Supporter Shield leaders, 1-0. Orlando's quietly having a better year than certainly when they first started. Oscar Pereira was sacked, and Marty Perelman has been the interim head coach, and it's really gone well. And Antoine Griezmann played 90 minutes plus.
Yeah, I think Griezmann is the type of player, because he's not just about finishing, he can win the ball as well. He's quite a hard worker. I think Griezmann is going to be a bigger success than Lewandowski short term, because Griezmann can do a little bit more than Lewandowski. Lewandowski needs to be provided with the chances and the opportunities. And that's why he scored so many goals at big clubs, at Bayern Munich, at Borussia Dortmund. Lech Poznan were a pretty big club in Poland. And then, of course, at Barcelona. And then for the Polish national team, he's been absolutely magnificent when he hasn't had that many chances. But Lewandowski thrives on chances. We saw him at the weekend. He hardly touched the ball. The only times he really touched the ball was he dropped back in almost to play as a number 8, didn't he? Or if not a number 6, but dropped back into the middle midfield to get on the ball. And he's not Harry Kane, Lewandowski. He's not a guy who can do that. He's just as good a goal scorer, but he's not a guy who you want really making the game back from a number 6 or a number 8 position. So it will take a while for him to assimilate. But yes, look, those two, the Lipscomb
and those are two
boys. It's so awesome, especially they're the first two draftees out of Lipscomb as well.
Yeah.
And also Tyrese Spicer, he had his own problems. He was at Toronto and it didn't work out. I bet he can't believe his luck that he's ended up at Orlando alongside Griezmann and probably a better atmosphere in the dressing room, because Toronto, it just hasn't worked for a long, since almost Defoe back then. It's been a long time since it's felt like a good football club there.
Well, you had the Bradley Altidore.
Bradley, of course. Bradley Altidore,
yeah. So 2017, they won the treble, but and then it started to fade a couple of years after that. But that's still a long time, and we'll get to it in a moment. But
it is when you're spending that much money as well, and they're not afraid to spend money.
No, they spend money.
Big money, yeah.
They spend money. And our boy Jason Hernandez is there, the former New York City Central defender, as the sporting director. Robin Fraser, who's got a great reputation as a coach, but they have gone 12 without a win. And we'll get to that in a moment, because I got a guy named Josh Sargent, and we got to check out and see what he's been doing. But Griezmann and Lewandowski, we talk about them. They were 2 of the 3 really international superstar type players that debuted this week in MLS. Casemiro played for Inter Miami. He played the full match in the 1-0 win. Who did they play? Who did they just beat? Montreal. Yeah, up at Stade Saputo. So yeah, Suarez scored on a penalty. He's got 3 goals in 2 games coming back from the World Cup break. He's 39. Casemiro's 34. Somebody put out an analytic that he played a decent game, but he was less effective when teams were countering, or when CF Montreal specifically was countering, because there's an expected goal analytic for counterattacks, and it was pretty high because he wasn't maybe able to recover and get into proper positions. That's another. I think he'll do well there. I mean, my goodness.
I think he will. He is only 34. He's certainly a very, very good footballer. But we saw it with the Brazilian national team. When you don't have legs in the middle of midfield, it becomes a struggle. They had Paquetá, they had Guimaraes and Casemiro. Not really that athleticism in the middle of midfield. So I think he'll do well. And goodness knows how they're managing it. but Casemiro to Paul.
That could be a full coffee break to try to analyze that. Yeah. We'd have to bring in financiers and sporting directors. We'd have to do maybe it's a worthwhile show to try to do. Like what would the title of that show be? How do they do it?
Yeah, David Copperfield magic, the Miami way.
Well, we know along the several years we've been doing this, multiple executives, along the framework of different teams, suspect that Miami is getting away with murder in some of these cases. But hey, listen, if they manage it, one of my former players is managing the budget down there, Megan Cameron. So I trust in her, and I think it's probably all good.
Oh, I see.
She's not that type of person. Oh my goodness! All right, let's get away from that. But hey, so we didn't say anything about the Columbus game, so just at least spend a little time on Columbus. So that's the first game coming out. We just did the Saturday night Chicago Fire game. We were in Columbus, and this is. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah. So we talked about Ojeda back-to-back game-winning goals. So this was the goal that made it 2-0, and they ended up finishing it off 2-1. And it involves Sands and Magno as well. But the commentary says it all, and And Matty closes it out with, of course, he's always going to, if there's a way to find something positive about the central defender and their distribution, but you're completely accurate here. Completely accurate here.
Johnny Shore comes over to help to Sands, and Sands will release down the left channel. Tylus Magno giving chase. Rudy Camacho, the 35-year-old, is there. Magno has him pinned in the corner. Let's see what happens here. And Magno, can he come out with it? Yes, he does. Square shot, 2-0 New York City FC, and it's Agustin Ojeda from Tylus Magno. And how about that? Magno out-muscling and out-maneuvering and out-foxing Camacho in the corner, gets to dribble along the byline, and all by his lonesome on the back post area, Agustin Ojeda, he could tee it up, and then he could pick his spot to finish. Wow.
How about the ball from Jane Sands? He's not passing the ball to anybody. He's putting the ball into an area and begging Tylus Magno to chase it. It is absolutely fantastic. He gets the ball out of his feet, Sands, and he lofts it into the corner area. Camacho tries to be cute. It's not going to go out for a goal kick, so he tries to turn Magno, and Magno just outfights him, outbattles him, and rolls the ball across the 6-yard box into Ojeda. And how cool, calm and collected is it from Ojeda? We see the fight from Tylus Magno on the corner flag, and then he rolls it back so nicely into the path of Ojeda, takes a touch with the right foot onto the left and slots it past Schulte. Brilliant goal, brilliant from 3 players, Sands, then Magno, then Ojeda.
New York City 2-0 on the road to open up Act 2 of the MLS 2026 season against Columbus Crew SC.
Nice. Hey, can I just say something about Rudy Camacho? And again, I go crazy about these little fundamental things that happen. That is not the way you are taught to shield the ball, using your butt and letting the ball be exposed between your legs. You go sideways on, you make your body big, and then you can actually maneuver your way out of it, right or left. You just feel which way Magno was going to go, maybe to try to get the ball off of you, or you just hold it there till you're fouled. I mean, that is, to me, that's a little thing. The guy's 35 years old. I don't know how often he's in a position where he needs to shield the ball, but come on, man.
Yeah, and you just do it sideways, and you have one arm on Magno, and you're keeping him at arm's length. You've then got the width of your body you've got to get round, and you go low to the ground. And yes, if your legs are next to each other, rather than spread wide, you can get that low center of gravity. You only need your legs to be a yard apart instead of 2 yards apart. But yeah, look, the ball from Sands is immaculate. I stand by what I said. He did not pass that ball to Magno. He just put the ball in there. He put the ball in the channel, and it was played with such weight. Normally, you would expect that type of straight ball to roll off for a goal kick.
Right.
But Camacho knew it wasn't going to, so he had to take a touch. And then, as you say, Glenn, his shepherding was just terrible, shielding the ball. And you're taught as a kid very, very early on, especially down there in the corner, just stick it out for a throw-in, and then we'll get back behind the ball and we'll take shape defensively. But, credit to Tylus Magno there, really, for chasing down, because it was pretty much a lost cause.
All right, we're getting some notes from our viewers that our stream has been suspended. And what happens in somebody's too many clips, maybe YouTube has these strict things. These clips are being played are created by myself, our audio over video, which is available through Major League Soccer in their archives. And I don't understand. I never understand this, how YouTube plays any role in this. So I'm not sure what we should do here. Let me see if I can quickly go on my email here, Matty, and because I don't, let's see what it says here. Due to a copyright, your stream was interrupted. Streams are interrupted. After copyrighted material is no longer being streamed, streams are automatically re-enabled. So maybe let's just keep talking. Folks, well, those that are viewing or were, I hope you're hanging in, and let us know when we're back on. Let me see if G Money or KP can give us a note that we're back on. Maybe what we should do. You guys are back. Okay, we're back. Thanks. Well,
thank you. Thanks for letting us know.
I was explaining that I create all these clips. So for YouTube to suspend us, shame. I did all the work. All you did is press a button and said I've got some sort of copyright infringement. Okay. Anyway, well, hopefully everybody saw those things. Where were we, Matty? I was as after we were so rudely interrupted.
We were talking
now
about
we're going to
Rudy
probably take it off now because I yelled at YouTube. But
yeah, Rudy Camacho can't shield the ball. Tyler Magno, credit to him.
Right. Yeah.
And also, look, what it is 2 wins back to back.
Yeah,
from a side who weren't performing very well just before the international break, the World Cup break, and they've turned things around. And they've turned things around with all of those injuries. And we've listed the injuries time and time again. But there's at least 7 starters, plus Drew Baera as well, who was starting to make his way into the squad too. So there's 7 or 8 really big-time injuries in the football club. 7 starters, definitely. And none of them look as though they're going to be back too soon. Gustavo, I think, possibly 2 or 3 weeks, he said to us. I think O'Toole maybe 2-3 weeks, but this is just me speculating. I don't know. And then the other guys, ACL injuries, 3 ACL injuries. Keaton Parks, we're not sure about.
4 to 6 weeks.
Kaitra even longer.
He's going to be out longer than Alonso Martinez. That was something Pascal Janssen had said. And the maybe the most immediate concern and hopeful in recovery is Keaton Parks, who got injured in pregame warmups in the U.S. Open Cup match, right? I think that was the match.
I think it was, yeah,
or the prior one, and hasn't up until now hadn't trained full with the team yet to get back into the squad. And his play in the midfield obviously will be could be critical. And well, how about James Sands? Now, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for playing this. I'm crediting New York Sports Journal and Matthew Mangum, who clipped this. I clipped this from part of their post game in this mixed zone area about James Sands. And if I'm not mistaken, he brings up the getting used to playing in central defense.
Yeah, I think some things are the same. I'm familiar with the staff, some of the players I played with before, but also a lot of it's new for me. So I'm still trying to build those connections, those relationships. I have played with Thiago before, so that's big. The 2 of us now playing center back. But yeah, I'm trying to take things in my stride and get comfortable being back here.
And how is it playing with Pascal and kind of managing expectations with him and how you fit within his system as well?
Yeah, he's kind of tried to let me get settled a little bit before he starts overloading me with a lot. But I've enjoyed working with him so far. He's very demanding, and he's the kind of coach I enjoy playing for. So,
and he said he has played with Martins before, so it's nice to be back paired with him. And well, we've addressed it a number of times. So right now, that's a very comfortable pairing at the back. And I, until Gustavo comes back full bore, 100%, that's where Sands is going to be.
Yeah, 100%. And we saw with the Ojeda goal winner against Columbus with that little clip ball. James Sands has got a left foot as well. He's not left-footed, but he's got a proper left foot. Right. He is a 2-footed player. Yes, he favours the right slightly, but he can play with both feet. The fact that he's already got a relationship with Thiago Martins helps massively. And also James Sands is a very good footballer. James Sands could play right back. He could play as a 6. He can play anywhere as a centre-half, in a 3, in a 2, left or right. He's a really exceptional footballer, and he's got a smart mind, a smart football brain. What I love about James as well is he loves the fact that Pascal's so demanding. Some footballers don't like a demanding manager because they're too demanding and it almost scares them. Yeah. But he loves it. That's what he wants. That's what he thrives off. I absolutely guarantee it, Sands.
He had a game face too sometimes pregame,
Yeah, really. He does. He really does. Look, he's an exceptional footballer. Probably an equally exceptional human being. I don't know him at all, but he comes across very well. He speaks well. He almost went over to Europe a boy and's come back a man. He had his stint at Rangers. He had his stint at St. Pauli. So Scotland, obviously, and Germany. two pretty good leagues. I know Rangers playing in Scotland, it's not the greatest of league, but if you can play at Rangers and you can play in Old Firm derbies, you can play anywhere, that's for certain. And likewise, St. Pauli, when they're playing against Dortmund and Leipzig and Bayern Munich, I think it served him in good stead. And he seems ultimately to be very happy to be home, Glenn. I hope I'm not putting words in his mouth, but he does seem to be happy and content to be home. Not like when he came back from Rangers, when his first thing was, right, I'm playing at NYCFC to get back to Europe. This time he's come back and he started talking about the new stadium, obviously. And we're not going to see the new stadium for a year. So he's got it in his head that he's going to be here long term. Yeah, I like that.
Here's what he said.
Yeah, I think it's massive for both me and the club. Because I've been here with the club for so long, I've been to a lot of different venues. I've been to Yankee Stadium, Citi Field, been to Connecticut, Red Bull Arena. So I've kind of done them all. And to now have a place in New York to call home is going to be special. And, I really think my journey with the club, I've had such a good start, being the first homegrown, having won something in 2021. But I feel like my story here is only half finished. And, I hope the next however many years I can, win more trophies and have more really good memories. And to do those things in a soccer-specific stadium in New York would be, it would mean the world to me.
Well, that sounds like at least a couple of 3 years to me.
Yeah, look, and I think that works for club and for player, doesn't it? Unless there was suddenly an astronomical bid for him, then yeah, I think he's staying put. And sometimes it's good to be home. He's been on his travels. He's suffered some bad injuries when he's been abroad as well. I know he's spoken about it.
Yeah,
it gets lonely, and as we were speaking about Malachi Jones, even when you're at home, even when you're in New York, it gets lonely in the treatment room. So even more so when you're in Germany, you're in Scotland, and you can't just pop home to to sample your mum and dad's cooking or whatever it is. Sometimes it's nice to do that to give yourself a break. So I think he's very happy to be home. Not just I think, he said it. He's happy to be home, and he envisages being here a while.
We've got we mentioned Toronto, and before we get to them, they lost to DC United 2-1, and that's 12 games without a win. But this is an interesting question, and we should address this. I think it's about Nico Fernandez-Mercado and seeing something over the weekend about a transfer, and I don't know if it's reliable. I think what you read regarding the transfer is very reliable, and I think there's little question that Nico Fernandez-Mercado someday will move away from the New York City Football Club because he's that level of a player and he'll have those opportunities. But the club is going to wait until the price is right. And after that goal on Saturday night, how many millions did that add to the fee?
It went up a good 2 or 3 million with that goal hitting the back of the net. That's for certain.
Yeah. So but here's what we can tell you, because we're around the team, we were around him on the road, and we see him. You can tell when and if he weren't fully committed and there was something going on, Pascal Janssen wouldn't be playing him, no matter what his level, because that's Pascal's way. He's happy here. He is happy here. One day he'll be gone, and but I don't think it's going to be for the foreseeable short-term future. I don't think so, but you never know. You never know with these things.
Yeah. Money talks. I think it's safe to say that Benfica have been interested in him. I think there was the bid. We don't know. That's not been clarified from anybody at the football club, but I think these rumours are pretty true that maybe an $18 million bid came in. For me, once you've paid, they paid sort of $8.4 million for Fernandez-Mercado. They're paying him $3 million a year. He's been there a year. So that's $11 million they've outlaid, 12 million they've outlaid on Fernandez-Mercado. If somebody comes in with $25 million, that means you've doubled your outlay already. And if somebody's offering 25 million, that means they really want Fernandez-Mercado. They would have told Fernandez-Mercado about that, even though they're not allowed to. They would have told him through an agent. And if it's a club like Benfica, you could not blame Fernandez-Mercado from wanting to go there. But it has to be right for the club. Ultimately, everything has to be right for the club. And they need to get their money. It is a business, but if you can double your money on an individual in the space of a year, that's great business. But also, Fernandez Macau scored 12 goals, provides assists, works harder than pretty much anybody on the football pitch. That's on either side. Pretty much he works harder than any of the other 22 or the other 21, sorry. And he's not throwing his toys out the pram. We see so often footballers, they hear about rumours and they absolutely make sure they're going to transfer. We saw it with Isak from Newcastle to Liverpool, players down tools. And we've seen it happen time and time again. Fernandez Macau doesn't strike me as that person. Again, unless it's a huge club. If he learns that Bayern Munich can come in for him, you almost have a right to demand to want to leave. Sure. Benfica's a massive football club as well, but the price needs to be right for the football club. And if you lost Fernandez Macau as NYCFC, you've lost half your team, haven't you? You've lost half your team. Well, yeah, that's the point. What about the fans club and the club goals? Yeah, I was just going on to say he scored 12 goals. He's got 12 goals. He's just one behind Musa. He's level with Messi. He is level with Messi in goals scored. So yes, he would be a massive loss. But again, money talks. Money talks. Every player has a fee on their head. You know, the same as Vinicius Junior we're looking at now, the same as Barcola at PSG. If somebody offers 200 million for Vinicius Junior, he goes. If somebody offers 145 million for Barcola, he goes. Every player's got a price on their head, a tag that works for the club.
Yeah. All right, so that's the Fernandez Macau story. And just again, back to Toronto. Toronto's the next opponent. It's a Friday night game. So let's see if we know that Pascal during the week was hopeful that the World Cup bump or bounce would work in terms of not just at Yankee Stadium and Citi Field, but across the league. And we feel strongly that Lewandowski certainly was maybe more a part of the increase in attendance than maybe the World Cup. Nonetheless, good game, good win. Let's see what happens Friday night against Toronto. So here's Josh Sargent. You know, that was a massive acquisition.
Well, talking about players who've thrown their toys out the pram, that's exactly what Josh Sargent did at Norwich. Yeah. He absolutely instigated that move. He heard about that Toronto were interested, and he absolutely forced Norwich's hand. I think he virtually stopped training there and said that he wanted to leave. He forced that move. That's what we're talking about.
That is interesting because if I could equate it to the collegiate landscape, we had Devin Kerr told us that there's a player who has transferred 4 times and he's only a sophomore on the collegiate level. And Devin, working for Apple as the analyst for this Chicago game, but it reminds me that's a red flag.
Yes.
And if you're the receiving team off of this Toronto, boy, isn't that a red flag that a player would do that? And maybe they're having their hand forced by the agent, these agents have too much power, Matty.
Yeah, they do. Look, agents do. Agents only have the power though if the player's willing to listen to them. And a player should be big enough to say to the agent, yeah, this is who I am. I don't want the move. I genuinely think Josh Sargent, maybe similar to James Hunt, was just desperate to get home. And I know Canada's not home for him, but closer to home. Yeah. But I think cynical old Matt, as always, I think it was the money that did the talking more than anything else. And yes, it should be a red flag. It should be a red flag. Look, if he's going to throw his toys at the pram and down tools at one football club, he will do it at your football club as well, if that chance arises.
Well, let's take Josh Sargent in reverse order. So DC United did not play in the match, was not even in the squad, not injured. He played 45 minutes against New England in the previous game, a 0-0 draw, and that was second half minutes. 14 touches, 1 shot attempt, none on goal. Then played the full match in a 0-0 draw at Montreal. Prior to that, no shots attempted in the full match, no shots attempted, and 41 total touches in the game. 691 minutes in 10 games total for Toronto. 3 goals and 1 assist. So, he's had a couple of knocks along the way that's kept him sidelined, but that's also been part of what's happened during the course of his career as well, Matty.
Yeah, and he didn't train. As I say, he didn't train. Well, he probably trained doing a bit of running around, but he didn't do a great deal at Norwich in his last few months there, because he did. He wasn't up for that Norwich fight, trying to avoid relegation in the Championship. He forced Norwich's hands. So yeah, not only did he do that, in my opinion. I don't like a professional player doing that, but also he won't have trained. He won't be match fit. He would have trained a little bit, but he won't have had any match fitness of any sort apart from those 691 minutes. And I think that's possibly in this calendar year. I can't quite remember when all this started bearing fruit. It could have been before Christmas, actually, when this started happening, when he stopped playing for Norwich. So yeah, it's a long road back when you're not match fit. We know that.
All right, so that's the next opponent. So it's Friday night, our NYCFC pregame live. So Matty and I do a live stream at the stadium, home and away, an hour before each game, and that'll be on at 6:30. So we'll have a lot more for you. Wednesday is the one-on-one exclusive with Pascal Janssen, and Nico Cavallo is the midweek presser this week. And Cavallo's been doing well. I mean, he seems confident getting forward. He has not at all been a liability defensively. Not that you would anticipate that necessarily, but he's been good after the break in place of Kevin O'Toole. And we know that Maximo Carrizo now is the backup left back, which has been discussed along the way between Pascal and Maximo.
I've hardly noticed that Cavallo's been out there, Glenn. I've hardly noticed the change from O'Toole to Cavallo, and I think that's one of the biggest compliments, and I mean that sincerely. The fact that we've not noticed him making errors. He hasn't made errors. He gets forward nearly as well as Kevin O'Toole. He's not the player that O'Toole is, but he shouldn't be just yet, because he's still growing himself, having left UCLA. I think he's done pretty well. He's pretty athletic, Glenn. I think at times his defensive positioning isn't perfect, but that will come as well. And yeah, I think he's been a decent replacement. He's been certainly a solid replacement, Glenn. Not been outstanding, but you wouldn't expect that when a boy's only just left college. I think it will. Oh, I think he can only get better.
And now he's got James Sands next to him now too, which has to help.
He's got Sands, exactly. He's got Sands there, and he's got Malachi Jones just in front of him as well, who is a willing runner who will help him back. May not track back as much as, or probably tracks back a little bit more than Hannes Wolf, maybe. I know Hannes Wolf works hard as well. But yeah, I envisage that Cavallo-Jones relationship growing, as well as the Sands-Cavallo relationship growing.
The Hannes Wolf situation is one to look at closely, I think. There have been reports about clubs interested in Europe, and there was one report saying he's pretty much gone, which that was from a less reliable thing than we heard about Nico Fernandez-Mercado. And again, these are reports. To be honest, I don't dig in too much with the club on any of these things, because they're not going to comment on reports. They will only comment after the consummation of these signings or acquisitions of players. So, but it is something close to look at, because under Nick Cushing, apparently when he wasn't played in certain situations there, this is just things I've heard, he wasn't particularly good-natured about it, I guess. And look, you don't want a player, and you don't want a player being
you don't want to play
happy about not playing, but you also have to be, you can't show it in your face or your body language, because it impacts your teammates. And when you're impacting your teammates negatively based on how you're going about things, and again, there's nothing that I've seen that would indicate that this is anywhere near happening. I'm just saying it's something to watch. That's all.
Yeah, no, we know, and I'm not talking Hannes Wolf, I'm talking in general, and my experience, one person can ruin a dressing room, and that's what you don't want. And I think at most football clubs, you get rid of those bad apples, and this is not Hannes Wolf. But I'm saying if somebody turns into that person, it only takes one person just chipping away at all individuals within the dressing room. Oh, the manager's no good at this, training's not good today. If one person goes around 3 or 4 people, then they get those 3 or 4 people on board as well with chipping away at the manager. That one person can soon turn the whole dressing room. And yes, firstly, Pascal wouldn't let that happen. Secondly, I'm not saying it's Hannes Wolf, but yes, he's certainly somebody who good is desperate to play every single game. So yeah, let's see how he handles that.
Matty, just a couple of other things before we close. I wanted to mention Felipe Mora because he's part of New York City FC history, but he played his last game with Portland because he's transferring to Atletico San Luis, and he's played in League MX, Pumas and Cruz Azul, so he's going back to familiar territory. So everyone knew it. He plays the game. He scores both goals. He scored both goals in a 2-1 come-from-behind win over RSL. What a fantastic story and way to go out. He's had nearly 50 goals with the club. Really nice. But when I think of Felipe Mora, I think of two things. He scored that goal in stoppage time in MLS Cup at the final in Portland in the 94th minute when Maxime Chanot went bonkers because he thought he was fouled. He probably was fouled. But that made it 1-1. So they tie the game late. But he was also the first penalty kick taker against Sean Johnson. And Sean saved it. And that really set the tone for the shootout and New York City's first ever win. So ever MLS Cup win. So to me, he kind of lives somewhat in the lore.
I was just going to say that he goes down in NYCFC folklore because he did play a big part in that MLS Cup final. But also, I do love that you know you're leaving a club, and if you know you're leaving, sometimes it's, I don't want to get injured here. I'm moving to a new club. The last thing I want to do is pick up a knock, and you either don't play in your last game or you just give it like 75%. But to score 2 goals, to score the winner, obviously, to come from behind as well, I think that tells you an awful lot about him as a character, doesn't it? As well as a footballer, obviously. He's had a good career for Portland.
Yeah, absolutely. And Portland fans, Timbers Army, this is something. They chanted to Diego Luna. Now, Diego Luna had logged the most minutes under Mauricio Pochettino and then did make the team. Okay, so that was a big story, we know. And they were chanting U.S. reject. U.S. Now, I'm looking at this in the same framework as the Matty Freeze getting booed wherever he goes because of the gaffe against Belgium. And we heard earlier how Matt's handling that. Go like, that's nothing, man. I grew up in Philadelphia, and I've heard worse things at the Eagles game. So, and I think Luna is pretty tough skin. But I don't want to say I like it, but I kind of do, because it's like I like the enemy side of things with supporters and MLS, and that's where and maybe that's some of the passion that we learn through observing all these different countries and what they do at the World Cup.
Absolutely. As long as it stays within the law of the land, as long as it's not, misogynistic, homophobic, as any of these things, racist abuse. You can shout whatever you want at me. You can absolutely shout whatever you want at me. Because it's going to 100% spur me on and drive me on, especially as you say, Glenn. I think somebody like Diego Luna, I think he'd thrive on it. Obviously, it didn't happen in that game.
Well, we have one objector. The Luna thing is not good, in my opinion. All right, Kate,
well, I don't mind it. I don't mind. It's not Luna's fault he wasn't selected. Look, everybody, I think most people thought he would be selected.
I don't mean to make light of it.
No, all of the Bank of America ads he did. Bank of America certainly thought he was going to be selected.
Bank of America, he had the jersey modeling, and when they revealed it, and I'm not being amused by it or anything, and I know I'm smiling while I say I know Luna, and I look forward to one day just asking him about it too, and I think it'll come up, and I'll try to see if he comments on it or something, because I'm with you. I think he'll be like, hey, bring it on. Hey, in fact, make sure that they chant that at every park I go to.
Yeah. Because the minute I score, I am going to be saluting to the fans or
what if he's got his ears? Got don't care.
Yeah. He can handle it. Again, not all players can handle it, but somebody like Matt Freeze or Diego Luna, they can certainly take it.
Yeah. So he's he's an interesting chap and he's a good guy. So hopefully it doesn't impact him negatively, in any way. Pochettino, just before we go, I interviewed a performance coach this week who I've known for a couple of years, Steve Fell. He worked with, I've known him since he worked with Greg Berhalter in Qatar, and now was kept on with Pochettino. His name's Steve Fell, and he is all about Pochettino. He thinks it would be best, absolutely, for the U.S. men's national team program to keep him, that he stays, and he's anxiously awaiting the decision. This was I think I interviewed him 4 or 5 days ago, and we thought we would have heard from Pochettino by now, but maybe it's just further contemplation. Maybe he's looking for more opinions. Maybe, it's going to be a family decision as well. He's got his son who is his analyst, and he's got his not psychological analyst, his analytic and performance coach, and his wife, who's a major factor here too. So you just wonder.
Yeah, I think it's the best for the US men's national team if he stays. I don't know whether it's best for Pochettino. What I do know is Pochettino's a winner. Grew up in Argentina. He absolutely wants to win. I don't think he would be happy leaving right now unless it's a really good job, because nobody wants to leave under the cloud of that Belgium game. That wasn't always the players' fault.
Yeah,
that wasn't the players' fault. Outside sources absolutely influenced that game in a negative capacity. And I think Pochettino, forget the Belgium game, that's an anomaly. I think the rest of what we saw at the World Cup, not just on the field, but off the field, and the togetherness he built. We talked about Matt Freese for NYCFC and being a leader. We know that Matt Freese is a leader for the US men's national team, along with the likes of Tim Ream as well, Anthony Robinson. I'm sure there's some very experienced players, Adams, McKennie, those type of guys. I think all of those players, and I don't know, again, I'm not speaking for them, my assumption would be that they would want Pochettino to stay on as well, because it looked a good atmosphere in that dressing room. Just from being a bystander, just from looking on, Glenn, I thought there was a lot of love for each other in that team, and that's what you need.
Now, we're not going to have time for this. So Angel Diaz Sr., if you're still watching, he wants to talk about promotion and relegation, that League MX has pretty much permanently eliminated that from their equation. They're going to use the MLS model, which they have in what I think the recent couple of years, but they made it official that this is the way they're going to continue, when previously they were pro-rel. So you have to remind me, Matty. Angel, we will do this next time, next Monday.
That's a big story, a big topic to talk about.
It is, and we need some time, and we only have because there's one other thing I want to put out here, because this to me was just fantastic. If I can find, I hope I have. Oh yeah, here you go. This. So look, when you get to be my age, Matty, you're closing in on that.
I'm closing in on that, yeah.
But we have this Japanese former international. What he's got? What did I have here? He has 80. Hold on, I got so many pages. 89 caps, 55 goals. He's called King Kazuyoshi Miura. He was the oldest player to ever play in a J League game, which is their top tier. That's when he was 50. Now he's in the third tier of Japanese football, and he scored a goal yesterday. How cool is that?
Yeah, well, it's pretty incredible being 59. I know how my body started refusing to work when I got to the age of about 36, 37. It started to refusing to work. I'm sure many fans would say it's never worked properly, but it's 37, 38. And boy, was it a struggle getting out of bed some mornings to get to training. And it took me an extra. I'd have to go sit on the bike for 15, 20 minutes before training to be able to, even before the warm-up. I was warming up before the warm-up. When I was getting in high 30s. So at 59, I can't imagine it. As you know, Glenn, I played a game.
Great finish. He got out of bed and then a delayed run into the area and just ran through people and banged it in, man. It was beautiful.
It's all right for some. 4 months ago at 52 or 51 I was then, I played a game of football and ruptured my Achilles. So I know how hard it is. And that was just a pickup game. So, all the power to him.
Just so you know, sometimes electric tape can really solve an Achilles issue because of the boot that Matty wore. He had a big flap and he was tripping over his boot. Yeah. So we repaired it with the emergency tape. I spoke to another old man, a 40-year-old. How about this? So Vizinha has signed. This is the Cape Verde goalkeeper whose Instagram blew up, and so did his dollar amount. He's making 11 times more than he was in the third tier of Portugal, I think. And now he signed with Colo Colo, the great championship club in Chile. So there he is. He dressed up and he cried. I think that's cry worthy. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, that is cry worthy.
How his life has changed. But All right, Matty. Well, the next time we shall meet will be Friday night. We'll be back at Yankee Stadium, 6:30 NYCFC pregame live. That's our live stream, just like this, but we'll be at the stadium. And then 7:15 is our radio airtime with the pregame show featuring one-on-one with Pascal Janssen. And then kickoff 7:40 against Toronto, winless in their last 12. And New York City trying to make it 3 on the trot, Matty.
Yep. Cannot wait, Glenn. I will see you on Friday.
All right. So for Matty, I'm Glenn, and have a great day, everybody.